Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Diaries. I am your host, Mitchell Roulane. This is a podcast show for the average Joe, the inspiration station, blue collar conversation. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and a plethora of other platforms that have audio podcasts. Leave us a review, like us, share us, do all this other stuff. You can also see the video on Spotify. It looks really cool. I really recommend checking it out. It looks so awesome. It's like a new feature for us to be on video on Spotify. Also, for the other video content, go to YouTube, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell right there for more content we release once a week. I have a very special guest from the outskirts of Manchester, England, Michael Ankers. What's up, Michael? All the way from England. How are you, sir? My international brother.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. So what is the name of the city or town or province that you are in England right now, sir?
So as you said, I am on basically kind of the outskirts of Manchester in England. So I live in a town called Chadderton, which is like a small town. Chadderton.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so that's where I am based in England.
Okay, cool. And you've just recently turned 18, correct? Am I right?
Yes, as of 26th of May. So,
okay.
Yeah, so really.
So I don't know what like the bylaws for different things are, but what can you do legally now in England? Can you I feel like you can drink before 18, right? You can have beer or...
Well, I know it, because obviously I know it's different. The USA, is it 21?
It's 21 to be able to purchase and consume alcohol.
Yeah, so at the
tobacco.
age, you do, yeah. So at the age of, I think 16 is tobacco, I think that's 16, but 18 is you're legally able, well, because obviously you have to have, like ID and whatever, but with ID once you're 18, you can obviously legally drink alcohol. You can stay, and also they have certain rules on pubs, because if you were under 18, you will not be able to stay in like a pub or certain places like after 8 p.m. But now you can do that once you turn 18.
Okay.
And there's obviously things like you can vote, etc. And obviously, you can start learning to drive from the age of 17, I think. But it's better at 18, and then it's just basically things like that, really.
Okay. What's the driving age over there? Like when you get your license to drive an automobile?
So I think it used to be, I don't know. Well, yeah, but a few years ago they've changed it to, so you can start driving at the age of 17. I don't know if that's exactly with someone a driver with you in the car. And then you're properly legally able to drive yourself at the age of 18 years old.
Okay. Interesting. Did not know that. That's why I asked. Very curious about that. So another thing I ask you is, are you currently in, I guess, grade school, high school? Or are you in university now? Like what does that look like? Are you not at all? Like
yeah, so I know because I know a lot of people from motorists, obviously I know it's quite different. So I'm in college, but not like, because I know like college is kind of like, I don't know how, obviously I know it's a bit different in America. So so I'll just explain this briefly. So in the UK, they have like several different, so what you would say called kindergarten, we call nursery, or preschool. I know some people call it in the USA called preschool.
Yeah.
And then you have primary school, which is from the age of about 4 to 11 years old. And then you have secondary school, or what we call high school, which is like from the age of like 11 to 16. And then you have college, which is sort of like just after you've left school, and it's like just before university. So some people, usually like the general thing is being there for 2 or 3 years. So that's from the age range usually of like 16 to 19, but there's some, like, you can have a lot older students. Like, it's not a thing that you have to be a certain age to go like from, obviously like over the age of 16, any age. For example, in the course that I do at college, we have a student there that's 30, like one of the other students.
Yeah.
So I'm currently, and then obviously then you have university, which is from like pretty much after you finish college, like, so it could be like 18, 20, whatever. So I'm currently in a second year at college. I'm doing performing arts, so like, singing, acting, dancing.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's basically what I'm doing. But yeah, so
Performing arts. What do you want to be when you grow up, Michael?
I think, well, like most people know me because I do a lot of like singing and music and song covers and all this, which I love to do. But I think from like when I was, especially doing performance at college, but before I was at college, I did like a performing arts club on a Saturday, and that really made me sort of like fall in love with acting as well as singing. So I'd like to do a bit of both, a bit of singing and acting. Because I do love to sing, but I'd also, there's a lot of people who do a lot of acting and singing, so I'd like to do a bit of both, and work on TV and whatever. So, but the main thing would be singer like first, and then actor second, kind of. But,
Or what about the culmination of doing like theater, where you're acting and singing, in like a play or something like that?
I do love like playing like especially like like musical theatre or etc. But yeah.
Have you done any well-known plays so far?
I do. So far at college, I've done. Well, it might not be as well known as things, but I've done quite a few things. I've done a bit of TV work as well recently. But
Oh, wow.
so I have so I've really enjoyed it. So when I was in my performing arts club before I joined college, I did Wizard of Oz, which
okay.
I'm sure everyone knows.
Who did you play? Who did you play in the Wizard of Oz? What character were you?
Well, when I played one of the Munchkins, so I was quite a tall Munchkin at the time, and then I played one of the Ozians. So that's like the one of the people of the Emerald City.
Okay.
And then so in college, I have. So we've done several plays. Some of them have been written especially for us, musicals. So I did so far, like over the past 2 years, I did a play called Punk Rock, which was basically about a student who, like, I think it was like sort of like still university age, but this new girl came to the school because the dad was like a university lecturer, so they'd move around a lot, and he sort of fell in love with it, but it turned out that he was a bit crazy, and basically there was a school shooting. I played like one of the the people in the and I was like sort of a victim of bullying in that play. And I did get sort of thrown down to the ground in that play as well, which was a bit thingy. But and then the next main thing, obviously we do little things as well in between. And then the next main thing I did was a play called, more of a musical actually, called Our Day Out, which was basically about it was set in the I think 1960s, 70s. It was basically like going on a school trip, so like going to the zoo, going to the beach, but there was a lot of like storylines, and it's romantic storylines, etc. I played obviously one of the kids, but I also played like a lollipop man, so like making sure
Nice.
it's rock, which was quite like, I'm like, I never want to have to wear a high vis jacket again in my life, but anyway. And then more, because obviously we do things in between. So I did a piece last year about like dreams and nightmares, like different people's like like dreams and whatever. And then more recently I did a play called City Forever, which was sort of about, like there was like football violence in there. There was like basically the theme of that play was the main character dad, who had died in the play, was like a football dancer kind of, and he didn't want to be like his dad, but he had to decide whether to be with his girlfriend, whether to be with the band that his dad was in, or etc. So I played one of the police officers that sort of arrested the main character for like certain reasons. And then I also played the main character's dad, so it was a bit of a light switch, so I kind of like playing police officer, so obviously I had to play someone that kind of like came into it. So his dad obviously was dead, but I sort of like came into a vision to him, kind of. And then the main recent thing we're doing now is we're doing a play called Second Summer, which was written for us by one of the former college students who like works with like the tutors as well. And it's basically, that's about like the summer of like 1989. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the Hillsborough disaster, but it was like a major incident that happened in the UK where there was like 97 people killed in like this massive football match because there was a load of like plays that like got onto the crowd and all sorts. So it's sort of like based around that and like certain events, like that is the main sort of thing that play. And yes, that's basically what I've done. And also recently, a few weeks ago, we filmed for we got like a work experience opportunity. So there's a BBC job, well, like a school drama that on TV that was on several years ago, but it's not been on the air for like 7 years. But the launch, and it's called Waterloo Road, and we got to be extras on it. So that was a really fun like 2 days of filming that. And yes, that's basically what I've done in terms of acting and etc. Really.
Wow, you've done quite a bit, sir. That's a hell of a early on resume for you, especially going forward to kind of pad your portfolio of projects and stuff like that. Yeah, wow, definitely. That's really cool. I've dabbled in a little bit of acting and stuff myself. Actually, me and my producer here we were extras in like this movie, and I did a couple other things when I was like pursuing like an acting modeling thing based out of Florida, and I got a couple little things like that. Nothing really major. Most of my acting has just been personal home video stuff, skateboarding and backyard wrestling and all that. Nothing like, professionally done or whatever. Well, that's really cool. So how many years of school are you going to be doing for the performing arts? Like what does that look like?
So I'm currently in my second year, and we're finishing about like in a few weeks for the summer, obviously. So basically, with our college, depending on the sort of like end grade you get, so what we call GCSE, which is like where you do exams at the end of like your final year of high school. Mm-hmm. So with our college, if you get a 4 or more sort of like in English and maths, and like 2 other subjects, you can go on straight onto like the level 3. But if you don't pass maths and English, you're either on level 1 or level 2, which basically means obviously like there's still some level 3s doing maths and English, but level 1 and 2 it's more for like people may need extra help with the maths and English or with the performing arts. So because I passed maths and English and etc., so I got straight onto the level 3, which is a 2-year course of performing arts. So I'm currently nearly finished level 3, but I'm doing an extra year starting from September. So an extra year still with the same people performing arts at Oldham College, a level 4 qualification, which is basically the same thing, but it's sort of a high qualification. So I have got like obviously a few weeks of this academic year then I've got another year, one more year there, and we'll just see what happens after that. But yeah, that's
nice. Yeah, man, that's pretty crazy. What is it that made you want to get into the performing arts, acting, singing, productions like that, show business? What made you want to do that? And how at what point in your life were you like, oh man, I want to be an actor and singer and be in show business? Like what did that all stem from?
I think, well, with the singing, it like happened from a very early age. So when I was about, I'd say 9, 10 years oldish, I joined my like primary school choir, and I was doing that for you, and I really loved it. And that's when I sort of like really.
Did he leave the chat room?
When you see him, he'll show back up.
Okay.
Just gotta wait. But in other news, how about that damn weather?
We should keep this in the actual show so we have extra content, because this one's probably not going to go that long, if I'm just being honest with you. We should probably just keep this banter between you and I.
Yeah, why not?
In the actual show.
It's super freaking hot outside.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's so hot. Like if I'm inside of my car, the windows steam up instantly if I don't have the AC on.
Yeah, it's super hot. I thought to tell this story about my good old bro, Robert Dimmy. So it's just really bad for me in the summer because as I just, no matter what I do, I just irradiate heat. So I'm just a naturally hot person. And I think this also translates into, into Dimmy as well. So I thought I'd tell this story. Just imagine like a situation within the family where your dog probably like gambles away your life savings and your $10,000 in debt. So he's in like the back seat. And, people say you can feel rage. Well, yeah, Robert was so pissed. He was in the back seats and just like pissed. So I think, he was in the back seat and all the windows are fogging up because he's just irradiating all this like anger and heat. So, I think my mom was driving him and, Ken, he's like quiet. And so she tells him, Robert, you need to calm down. You need to calm down because they're starting to go to the front of the car finally.
What was he mad about?
I can't really say, but just imagine that situation. Your dog gambles away all your money and you lose, you're like $10,000 in debt. It was pretty much the equivalent of that. And he was pissed. All right, well, he's back up, so you can resume podcast.
Robert got pissed because of his micro penis, probably. Michael, what's up, man? You're back.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, can hear you better.
Right, okay.
Video's a little grainy, kind of fuzzy. The audio sounds good. The video is kind of crazy. Okay, we'll just kind of pick up where we left off here to the best of my abilities.
So where was I saying? Oh yeah. So So when I was in school, obviously I was saying I was in choir, and after I did that, I really sort of like properly fell in love with singing. So
you want to sing us a song on the show today, Michael?
we'll see.
Not to put you on the spot, but
I mean, if you want, like, maybe at the end of the show, because I have done on podcast before, and people are like, do you want to sing to the song? I'm like, sure, I'll sing you something.
Sure.
So I can sing.
Don't let me whore your talents out. You don't have to. I'm just.
No,
if you want to.
I will, but just like we'll save it till the end of the show as a little nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually when we do.
So I was in that choir for a year, and then so sort of when I got into secondary school more, I sort of started getting into songwriting as well. So I, like, in my very first year of high school, I filmed like a music video for the school, and I sang the song and did it, and that was like really fun. And then a few years ago, so say 2019, I started YouTube. So started on YouTube. I had like a YouTube channel. I made a new one, and that led into like me, doing more original songs, song covers. And 2019, sort of November time, was the first time I ever went to a proper recording studio. And obviously, like, so I've recorded several songs there and did it. And then with acting, so when I was saying about the performing arts group that I used to be in, so in 2019 as well, I joined a performing arts sort of club, because I'd always sort of like drama when I was in school, but I don't know, sometimes it just was a bit, and I like music. And originally I was going to do music at college, I will be very honest, I was going to do music, but sort of like in my final year of high school, I did music, and to be honest, it just, what it is about music, like, I love singing, I love songwriting, I love listening to, other people's songs, and like, hearing about the story behind their song lyrics and but the only thing about like music itself is sort of like the technical side, like creating music, producing, that sort of thing. It always like, I was a bit put off by it, so that's why I sort of decided more to do performance arts, especially because obviously of the performance arts club that I was in, which I really enjoyed doing with them. I was with them, and I also did like a variety show like Sydney Dance and Activism earlier this year. And I really enjoyed that. So that's when I probably thought, you know what, I'm going to do performing arts in college. And I had like an open day at the college in 2019 as well. So this was like a year and a bit before I actually joined the college. And so I got to see, you know, the studios. Our college actually has its own like theatre building as well. So I got to see all of that, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, you know what, I'm doing performing arts. I love it. Like, I fell in love with it because of the performing arts club. So that's basically how I sort of decided, right, I want to do something. I want to do acting, and, you know, hopefully lead to other things as well. But yeah.
Yeah. Performing arts is definitely one of my top favorite arts of all time. Definitely probably my top 3 of arts that human beings gave to this earth. It's just good. I just love watching physical performances and acting and you know, that kind of stuff is just really cool. Set pieces and costumes and voices and all that. It's very interesting to me. This is why I think this is why I love theater. This is why I love movies, cinema. Yeah, it's cool. It's a great medium. It's great art. So now I'm going to try to take things a little bit deeper. We've gotten to know you a little bit better, Michael. You living in England, and you're a young guy, just turned 18, and you're in university studying the performing arts because you want to be a well-known, elegant actor and singer and just person in show business doing your performing art. Well, let me ask you about some of the more darker things in your life, like what are the monsters under your bed and in your closet? What are the things that you personally wrestle with, sir? The deep, dark things that you wrestle with that plague you.
Oh, that's a good, deep question. I think for me, as a person, I'm always, well, something that I do a lot of songs about actually is friendship. Because, I think, friendship's important at any age, especially, being 18. And I, especially over the past few years, because I think obviously there was a lot of negative things about, the pandemic and lockdown.
Right.
But I've really had the time to sort of like work out what I don't want, like with friends or, like family relationships or whatever. My family relationships are actually all good, but like with friendships or like, a work relationship or what, just people in general. And like when people are asking like, what do you do with or, what would like, thing. And one thing with me, I have learned that I don't like people that lie, and I don't like toxic people either, which obviously no one does. But I sort of stood up, like, especially the past few years, because obviously, for example, when I first joined college, like, it was in September 2020, so obviously it was still, like, the pandemic, obviously it still is now, but it's not as much. And it was, very, like, nerving, because obviously I'd, like, left high school a bit earlier than planned, obviously, because of COVID. And obviously, like, when I first joined that, everyone was really nice, and everyone still is. But over the past few years there, obviously, when you're in, like, a school or a college, there's always going to be sort of, drama, which
Sure.
is funny enough doing performing arts. But yeah, so I have, like, not just, people in class, but like, people online, etc. So I have, like, I really struggled to read it. There was one particular toxic friendship that I went through where my friend's girlfriend was, let's just say, I won't say controlling, but a bit twisted around his finger, so to speak. So, like, we were, friends for a long time. We had fallings out, but certain things happened. And then there've been other people, because there are a lot of people that be like are really good at being nice to you than fake, two-faced, whatever. And I do not like, I've learned what I want in friendship. With friendship, I like positive people. Obviously like-minded people. You might, you don't have to have all the same interests in you, but it's good to have things in common. And and people know me, like I was saying, I don't like lies. I don't like, I'm a bit like, I just don't, Joe, like, if you like them, like, even once, like, some people, it's easy to forgive, but if you like it's someone like I only know of recently or something, I'm like, okay, goodbye. So that's one thing. So like, friendship struggles.
Yeah.
But I think as well, well, even being a singer, because obviously there's a lot of like struggles with, as you would know, even doing a podcast, like anything, where you put yourself out there as a podcaster, as a musician, as a YouTuber, because I'm a YouTube, like I've done a lot, as well as like still acting, obviously I do, I'm a YouTuber, I do like, as well as obviously put my music on there and it's music videos and all this, I do like vlogs and things. And I also used to do like, I do technically do have a podcast, but I also, well, I'm still planning on with it, but I did a lot of sort of like, so I did this interview series called Michael's Marvelous Instagram Chat on Instagram, and I actually interviewed a few celebrities as well while I was doing it. But I used to do like Instagram live interviews on my Instagram, where I've interviewed people from all the world, so obviously UK, USA, Canada, Latvia, and a few other places. And I don't. I know that people love it, but there was also challenges with that, which is like most of the guests were wonderful, loved them, still in keep in touch with a lot of them. And obviously, like I said, I got to meet some people that I'd seen on TV, which was amazing. But there is some deaths that are a bit difficult to deal with, and I'm sure maybe you've experienced it sometimes with being a podcaster, but also again putting yourself out there because because obviously not everyone's gonna like me, my music, but there's some people that are just a bit much, or it's like when you put something on YouTube, like you'll get a lot of hate comments. I mean, I know how to deal with it because I've got a very like what's the word, thick skin, but it's hard to be like and I think one thing with me, especially this year, is because one thing I like to do, if I'm a bit, like if things are moving, but I like to keep myself busy. So, I like to obviously I like college because it keeps me busy, and I like to keep myself busy, whether it's seeing friends or working on a project or whatever it is. But one thing, like, especially this year, so basically when I was doing the show I was talking about earlier called Safe Everywhere was our policeman thingy. So we did like three, so our shows were like 3 days in a row. So like, well, only one show per day, but obviously, when you do like a lot of shows over, or like even one show over, for several days in a row, it obviously can be quite, because obviously it's tiring, it's thingy. And I really because I'm autistic, so I get overwhelmed by things anyway. But I've really sort of I love doing the shows and doing music and all this. But so after I did that, at the start of like that show week, I had chest pain for over a week, which a doctor said, because obviously eventually I was like, oh, I've had chest pain for over a week. You speak to a doctor, was either muscle strain or stress, but it's most likely stress. And there's other things, like I've seen and sometimes if I get really stressed, I get bad headaches or things like that. So I was like, I'm all right with it now, but it's sometimes, just to take a breather or go for a walk or listen to music, whatever it is, you need to cope or calm down. And then I think, so I'd say that's some of the sort of things, monsters under your bed. Literally, I'm sat on a bed right now, but, basically, yeah.
What is this thing on the wall back here? What does that say? Does it fly?
Yeah, it is. So basically,
is that made out of flies?
No, not.
Oh, because I was like, wait, did you smash fly? Did this guy smash flies on his wall to say fly?
No. So basically, I like to be because obviously everyone likes to have their own little, obviously your room, bedroom or office or whatever it is your space. So I because I have quite a few quotes on my walls.
I see. Okay.
I've got one that says never let anyone do your sparkle. So this one, I like to have a certain theme to keep positive and things. So no, this is actually ironically it's not fly. So basically, I think it was a few years ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. But my mum got some bird stickers, so different types of birds, like robins and leaves and stuff. And I thought, oh, I should do something with them. So I
Okay.
thought, well, they are bird stickers, so it's basically sort of ironic that the birds.
Oh, okay, I can see it now.
So it's like fly. So it's kind of like something. Well, it's not like flying like a bird, but I always like like people say, fly high, follow your dreams, etc. So that's why I thought, what, that'd be actually a cool idea to do that. So I thought, why not?
Dude, you missed an opportunity. If I was you, I told them, yeah, man, I smash and kill those flies and I put them on the wall, or they're parts of birds.
I love animals. I've got a dog. I love animals. I love pets and whatever. So I won't want to, like squash a load of flies.
You'd be an interesting guest, though. I'd tell you that. That's cool, man.
I might seem a bit crazy, but
so let me ask, Michael. You brought up that you're autistic. You have autism. Can we talk about that? What's that like for you? What's your issues with autism, if you have any that you would speak about?
Yeah, I quite openly speak about autism. I've got a son about autism. I've been on autistic podcasts. Obviously, I've talked about it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, I have a specific type of autism called Asperger syndrome. And I was diagnosed in about 2012. So I've had it officially diagnosed for about 10 years now.
Oh, wow.
So it's been for pretty much all my life. Well, over half of my life, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And when people ask me, like, when were you diagnosed or how did you get this? I always like to explain sort of the backstory. So, unfortunately, in about June 2011, my dad unfortunately passed away. And after that happened, obviously, I was grieving a lot. And obviously, I was trying a lot. And, people obviously understood. Thought, oh, it's grief, obviously, which part of it obviously probably was. But one of my aunties and mum thought there could be something more to it. So I eventually got diagnosed with Asperger syndrome, which obviously now for 10 years. So it mainly affects me with things like, social. Obviously, it's different for everyone, but similar in some ways. Right. So it's like things like social situations are sometimes they can be a bit like withdrawn and quiet, but I'm still quite a loud and confident person. Depending on, because obviously like some people have different levels of autism. So some people can't talk with autism, some people can't. Well, a lot of people can, but some can't. And then, so it's like for me, like socially, so it's sometimes like it's a bit awkward. Or like when I was a lot younger, I didn't always understand sarcasm. That is a part of being autistic. Like even now, sometimes, or things, and it's also things like I was saying before. Like, so part of obviously doing shows is obviously like if you're in a theatre or like like a venue or event space to perform, obviously there'll be things like bright lights and colours and sound and sometimes, like when I was saying before, like when I had that chest pain, and also a few years ago when I was doing that Wizards of Oz show, we did like 2 show nights in a row, but I could not do the second show night because I had a massive headache, and that was most likely because of all like the because that was like my first time doing a proper show, and it might have been due to all the like bright lights, because a lot of people, not everyone with autism is, but to me, like very, what's the word? Sort of sensitive to like a lot of like sound of bright lights sometimes, or even a lot like bright colours. So that's something else. And then, so mainly socially also being sensitive like to too much noise and things like that. And but I always say about having autism, well, I don't just have autism, I also have dyslexia and another condition called muscle tone. But, a lot of people, a lot of people in the world are, disabled or, have a learning difficulty, medical condition. And, everyone will experience some like a medical thing in life or whatever. But, because obviously I was diagnosed from quite a young age, which is good, obviously. But, so it, like when I first got it was like, and I know a lot of people say this, like when you first, like you yourself get diagnosed, or you might have a child that gets diagnosed, or a relative or a friend. Obviously, it's overwhelming for them, but it's also overwhelming for the people around them, the family, the friends. It's like, what is autism? I don't know what that is, or whatever. So it's also that, like, especially when you first like diagnosed with it, or your families or whoever, and then so that can be quite daunting as it is if you're being diagnosed with anything, and I think so it's basically that sort of like how it affects me. Day-to-day life, etc. And it's also sort of like hand-eye coordination. So you might notice, like me, I'll be like, I think I'm talking to the camera, which I try to, but one thing with my, which is part of my autism, is hand-eye coordination. So to be honest, I never liked PE, so physical education and sporting, so I never liked it. Well, there were certain sports I liked, but so it seems like maybe catching a ball and tying a tie, whatever. But it's also like one difficulty with being a YouTuber is how would you explain? Yeah, so being a YouTuber is just like, I love being a YouTuber, but it's like people say you don't look at the camera properly, or if I'm doing a YouTube interview or something, like you don't look at, and it's like, I don't mean to. It's just it's part of I am trying to teach myself to go for the camera all the time.
Yeah, but you're doing YouTube, right? So I mean, there's no etiquette. It's not, you're not on a film studio. You can do whatever you want. You can look at the camera, not look at the camera. There's no right way to do that.
Exactly. But because no one's ever really nasty about it. But people say, "Oh, you should," or you don't look at, and it's like, there's a reason for that. But to be honest, I'm not really bothered as I'm still in a way, I'm still talking to whoever, if I'm being interviewed, or I'm talking to, my subscribers on my YouTube video or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, whether it was even if it was on a Zoom meeting or something, whatever. And, so obviously that's like one thing, with being an actor, sometimes it's like, if you want to maybe film obviously not if you need to look at obviously most of the time, obviously they don't want you to look at the camera anyway, unless it's specifically for a scene or something.
Yeah.
So it seems like that. But to be honest, I've had it for 10 years now. It's like, it doesn't define who I am. It's as a wonderful part of me. But yeah, so that's pretty much how it sort of affects my day-to-day life.
I think for you to have, some of these hurdles, these obstacles, these psychological obstacles with the autism and the Asperger's and the dyslexia, all that, I think that you're handling it pretty well. And I also feel like people like you, that you're in performing arts. And I think that's a really great thing to kind of quiet your mind. I'm speaking from just a pure opinion. Obviously, I don't have these elements, and I don't have a lot of people that are very close to me with them. I do know some people, but I know they find something, and it's usually art, music, or what you're doing, theater, writing, painting, and they just submerge themselves in that, and it kind of quiets their mind down and helps them focus and all that. And so I feel like you're kind of up there. You also seem like you have a pretty good spirit about it. I mean, I still don't know you that well, but based on just talking to you here for a little bit, you seem like you're handling any issues you have pretty well with a lot of optimism. And I think that speaks major volumes for you, Michael. So kudos to you, sir. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Before... No, go ahead.
Sorry, no, don't.
I was going to say, before I sign us off, any words of encouragement or wisdom to, let's say, somebody else who's out there, they're wanting to potentially get in the performing arts, get into show business, and then, or maybe someone who has autism or any issue like that, or maybe both. What would your advice to them be if they they feel like they're kind of struggling and drowning a little bit? What would you say to them in a quick little summary?
So quick summary. For anyone, who wants to get into acting, performing arts, music, art, anything like creative industry-wise, modelling even, obviously, make sure I always say, make sure you have a passion for it. Never feel like you're going to be forced by someone to do it or anything. Also, find exactly what you want to do, because because most people think if you do music, are you a singer or this, some people might want to do engineering or, produce music or, be a DJ, whatever. Also with acting, you may want to be an actor, or you may want to, be a director or producer of a TV, or, you might want to be a cameraman or whatever. And obviously, you don't have to feel like you have to be oh, if I'm doing performing arts or I'm doing this particular course, I have to specifically do this, because like with performing arts, there's so many different like career options. So obviously, being an actor, or like you could teach kids acting, or there's so many different things. And then I think if you've got autism or any medical condition, or disease or whatever, I think just obviously there will be obviously difficulties with it, and you may get judged by other people sometimes, which is just a part of life. Not everyone's going to be as accepting as everyone, but just keep your head held high. You whatever, whether it's autism or whatever it is, there is. This is something my mum taught me, and she still reminds me now. Is there's the word ability and disability, or abled and disabled, and so if you've got a disability, whether and that's not just, oh, if someone's disabled, if they're in a wheelchair. Remember, there's also people with like me, I can still walk, talk, and all this, but I still have disabilities. So no matter what medical condition or disability you have, your life is worth living. Always remember that. And I just like to pick everyone in general. Like I always say when I give advice like this, is surround yourself with positive, wonderful people. Whether obviously with similar interests to you, but also whether it's friends, a partner, family, work colleagues, or whoever. Just surround yourself with positive people, basically. But yeah, that's my words of advice.
Nice. Amen and amen. Sir, before I sign off, you want to sing us that song or what?
Any special requests you'd like me to sing? Or do you want me to sing any?
Let's see. Do you know Summertime? Summertime and the waiting's easy.
I think I do know that. I'm like,
if you don't know that one, you can do another one.
Yeah. Trying to think what people like this. Actually, well, speaking of Wizard of Oz, I'll sing you a bit of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Oh, perfect, yeah. I did that once on a podcast, and people seem to like it. So
yeah, do it. Do it, man.
Okay, so this is a little bit of for you, everyone listening or watching, a little bit of Somewhere Over the Rainbow from Wizard of Oz, originally sung by but yeah, so somewhere over the rainbow, blue birds fly over the rainbow, wider than I can tie. And there you go.
Sweet. Thanks for doing that, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you had fun on the episode today, Michael.
I did, definitely.
Excellent. All right, man. Well, thanks again for coming on here. Ladies and gentlemen, this was another episode of The Wrestling Diaries. We had Michael Ankers here from, I forget the name of the place. Probably couldn't even pronounce it anyways, but outside of Manchester in England. He is a college student studying the performing arts, just turned 18 years old. He sings and performs, and he's wanting to build a life with show business. And he also struggles and fights with some issues with Asperger's and dyslexia and stuff, but apparently, based on what he said, he doesn't let it hold him back. For our content, very important, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. It's very, very important. It helps us show up in more algorithms, and it helps us grow and get people like Michael and other people's messages out there and the things they struggle with, the issues, the health issues, emotional, physical, or just any personal demons they fight with. And you just see people from regular society and what makes them tick and what makes them special and beautiful and all that jazz. YouTube, for the video content, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more content. Ladies and folks and gents, what do you have any struggles in your life that are debilitating to the things that you do normally in life? Like Michael suffers from Asperger's and dyslexia and stuff like that. Do you have any of those issues that hold you back, whether diagnosed, clinical or not, or otherwise? And also, what do you use to quiet your mind? What form of art do you take that helps, if any? And if you don't, maybe you should find something to go paint. And I say paint metaphorically, of course. find something to help quiet your mind, whatever you love that just turns you on, excites you. I think that's very important. That's what I picked up from this episode. Is Michael he doesn't let his disabilities enable him to be able to do wonderful, awesome things in life. And I think that's very important. Are you becoming something more? What do you wrestle with, and how can you beat it? One love.